On a bright morning of June 30th, 1908, the serene banks of the Tunguska River in the forests of Siberian Russia were rocked by an explosion of unparalleled magnitude, its force equivalent to that of 1,000 atomic bombs. As the colossal mushroom cloud ascended, the Earth seemed to split asunder, a spectacle of apocalyptic proportions. Eyewitnesses recounted seeing a massive fireball streak across the sky, as if a second sun had plummeted to the Earth with ferocious intensity. In an instant, the blast unleashed a tremendous shockwave, shattering all glass within a 650-kilometer radius and making its presence known to the inhabitants nearby. The explosion laid waste to an area of 2,000 square kilometers, instantly flattening 60 million trees. Residents within a 100-kilometer radius suffered severe burns, and the deafening roar left many with permanent hearing damage. The repercussions of this explosion were felt globally. In London, lights flickered and went out, while people across Europe and Asia witnessed a dazzling flash of white light in the sky. Even in the United States, many reported feeling the ground tremble beneath them. Observatories around the world noted a significant decrease in atmospheric transparency in the months following the event, a testament to the explosion's far-reaching impact. The seismic waves from the explosion, as estimated by British seismologists, were comparable to a magnitude 5 earthquake, centered east of Moscow. In the days following, the night skies over the Eurasian continent were glaringly bright. Fortunately, the explosion occurred in a sparsely populated region, inhabited only by scattered nomadic tribes, thus averting a major loss of human life. This event stands unparalleled in human history, occurring 37 years before the detonation of the world's first atomic bomb in Hiroshima, Japan. Despite exhaustive efforts, scientists remain baffled as to the cause of this explosion. A village named Varavara, located about 60 kilometers from the epicenter, was inhabited by the Evenki people, who were among the nearest residents. They described a fireball splitting the sky in two, growing larger and emitting intense flashes of light, followed by an overwhelming sound wave. Closer to the epicenter, a reindeer herder was reportedly blown into a tree by the blast, killing him and his herd of reindeer instantly. In Varavara, many were rendered temporarily deaf. Those who looked towards the forested explosion site saw a sea of fire, experienced intense heat that made it impossible to see or breathe, and witnessed the land collapsing around them. Many relocated from Varavara, while those who stayed experienced strange occurrences, increased lethargy, unexplained disappearances of livestock, and the disappearance of wildlife and aquatic life. Days later, villagers encountered peculiar animals resembling pigs but clearly not, emerging listlessly from the forest. They also saw a pair of nomads emerge, who appeared normal and could communicate with the locals. These nomads later moved east and were never seen again. Some brave Evenki ventured into the heart of the explosion, later referring to the area as the Valley of Death, claiming it was cursed by the god Agdi. In the decade following the explosion, those who entered the Valley of Death reportedly fell ill and died soon after. Children born in the village showed abnormalities, and even the deer, for no apparent reason, would spontaneously combust. In 1908, amid the tumultuous reign of the Russian Tsar, the nation reeled from the devastating defeat in the Russo-Japanese War and was plagued by severe political turmoil. As a consequence, the Russian government did not immediately dispatch investigators to the site of a catastrophic explosion in Siberia. It wasn't until 1921, driven by mineralogist Leonid Kulik's fascination with the event and his belief that the iron from the Tunguska meteorite could alleviate the Soviet Union's natural resource shortages, that the government allocated funds for an expedition to the Tunguska region. However, upon arrival, Kulik and his team were met with disappointment, as the meteorite theory seemed untenable. Even after 2 decades, the scene within a 50-kilometer radius of the explosion was stark, with trees charred into charcoal and uniformly blasted in one direction. Following the trees' fall pattern in reverse, Kulik hoped to locate the meteorite responsible for the explosion, but upon reaching the epicenter, he found no such meteorite, and strangely, some trees remained upright. Kulik then speculated that a nearby lake might be the meteorite crater, but draining the lake revealed no meteorite. As the Russian winter approached, Kulik was forced to conclude his investigation of the ghost cemetery. Before leaving, he sketched a map showing the explosion area's peculiar butterfly shape. Despite initially suspecting a small swamp to be the crater and draining it to investigate, the team found nothing to support the meteorite explosion theory, eventually discarding it. Over the next decade, Kulik continued to explore the swamp, leaving behind numerous manuscripts and an overhead control view of the entire explosion area. The photographs depicted the trees fallen in a butterfly pattern, yet no meteorite crater or explosive remnants were found. Mysterious illnesses among locals, tales of the ghost cemetery, and reports of spontaneously combusting livestock further enshrouded the Tunguska explosion in mystery. The ensuing century saw relentless speculation and the emergence of various theories, including a controversial nuclear explosion hypothesis proposed by scientist Willard Libby, who noted similarities between nuclear blast sites and the center of the Tunguska explosion. The concept of nuclear radiation causing mutations in animals and humans akin to the legends surrounding the ghost cemetery parallels the Tunguska event's aftermath. Survivors at the explosion's epicenter, seemingly unaffected by radiation, resemble the nomads emerging unharmed from the woods. The instantaneous carbonization of trees and their uniform direction of fall, as well as the reindeer skin diseases observed in Tunguska, closely mirror the skin conditions found in cattle post-nuclear tests in New Mexico. Additionally, the accelerated growth of trees in Tunguska mirrors similar phenomena observed at Pacific Island nuclear test sites. However, after further assessments of the explosion's magnitude, Israeli seismologist Ari Ben-Menahem concluded that the Tunguska explosion's yield was equivalent to the power of 1,000 little boys, the code name for the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima during World War II. This leads to the perplexing question of how such a powerful natural nuclear explosion could occur. In 1965, scholar Willard Libby proposed a new hypothesis suggesting the Tunguska explosion resulted from the collision of a meteorite composed of antimatter from space. His calculations indicated that the collision between half a gram of iron and an equal amount of antimatter iron would produce an explosion exceeding the little boy's force. Antimatter, theorized from the Big Bang hypothesis, suggests an equal creation of matter and antimatter at the universe's inception. While matter constitutes the physical reality around us, antimatter consists of particles with opposite charges, positively charged electrons and negatively charged protons. Upon contact, matter and antimatter annihilate, releasing energy according to the mass-energy equivalence principle, E equals mc squared, converting all mass into energy. In 2000, the European Organization for Nuclear Research successfully created 50,000 antihydrogen atoms, confirming antimatter's existence. Despite this advancement, the presence of scattered meteorite fragments at the Tunguska site remains an unsolved puzzle, challenging the antimatter hypothesis. The phenomenon of accelerated tree growth in the area, along with the absence of gamma-ray detection typically associated with annihilation processes, led to the proposition of alternative hypotheses, including the terrestrial energy burst theory. This theory suggests that the Tunguska explosion was not a result of an extraterrestrial impact, but an eruption of energy from within the Earth itself. Notably, Nikola Tesla had predicted an imminent release of Earth's internal energy, claiming the ability to control and direct energy to specific locations. Independent of Tesla's experiments, the hypothesis remains plausible, with some scientists suggesting the explosion could have been caused by the release of 10 million tons of natural gas from Earth's crust, which could also explain the spontaneous combustion mentioned in the ghost cemetery tales. Amidst growing speculation, a turning point in research emerged. In 1959, the disintegration of a small comet in the atmosphere over Canada and Greenland formed a massive fireball, significantly brightening the sky. The comet, primarily composed of ice, evaporated rapidly, leaving behind a trail of volatiles that illuminated the skies of Canada and Greenland for days. This event mirrored the global brightening of the night sky following the Tunguska explosion, offering scientists a new direction for investigation. Meteorites are categorized into 4 types: iron, stony iron, and icy. Previous research had overlooked cometary or icy meteorites, which could melt into water, forming lakes or evaporating, with their impurities scattering across the area. Interestingly, upon his initial exploration of the explosion site, Kulik discovered a lake, sparking speculation about its origin as a crater formed by an icy meteorite. However, further research indicated that sediment in the lake had a history of at least 500 years, establishing the lake's presence long before the explosion, with no evidence of an impact in its sediment or bottom, and its formation attributed to the melting of permafrost rather than an extraterrestrial impact. This seemingly perfect hypothesis faced challenges, as it struggled to fully explain the complexities of the Tunguska event. Scientists later refined their hypothesis, suggesting that the icy meteorite exploded above the lake's surface. The rationale was that ice, when heated, expands and could have expanded to its limit in the atmosphere before detonating. This theory found support in an experiment conducted in 1960, where scientists used small sticks to create a scale model of a forest and detonated a bomb above it. The resulting explosion pattern resembled the butterfly shape documented in Kulik's manuscript, with the sticks in the center remaining upright, seemingly providing answers to the puzzle. By the 1960s, the Soviet Union had embraced the hypothesis that the Tunguska explosion was caused by an icy meteorite, possibly a fragment of a larger comet containing radioactive impurities that exploded upon entering the Earth's atmosphere, triggering the 1908 event. A Slovak astronomer, Lubor Krisak, even proposed that the icy meteorite was part of Comet Encke, noting that the timing of the Tunguska explosion coincided with the comet's orbital path. However, some scientists have raised objections to this theory, arguing that if the icy meteorite were to explode, it would have done so at a higher altitude, not close to the ground. This argument was bolstered by data and calculations from the 2013 Chelyabinsk meteor, which exploded in the atmosphere. Further analysis of this event nearly ruled out the possibility of a low-altitude explosion of an icy meteorite, prompting continued debate and investigation into the true nature of the Tunguska event. On a memorable day in August 1972, the skies above Utah, USA, were dramatically lit by a massive fireball. This celestial visitor, traveling at astonishing speeds, made its presence known with a roaring sound as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. Its journey took it across the sky, coming alarmingly close to the ground, merely 50 kilometers away, as it passed over Montana. Witnesses, including tourists by Jackson Lake in Wyoming, managed to capture this awe-inspiring moment. The fireball, defying expectations, ascended once again over the lake before finally exiting Earth's atmosphere over Alberta, Canada. Scientists later confirmed that this spectacle was caused by an asteroid, about the size of a truck, that had skimmed the atmosphere in a rare event before being flung back into space, an occurrence not immediately linked to the enigmatic Tunguska explosion. However, in 2019, a team from Siberian Federal University brought forth a groundbreaking hypothesis stemming from the 1972 event. They proposed that the culprit behind the Tunguska explosion, a mystery that had perplexed scientists for over a century, was an asteroid that had similarly skipped across the Earth's atmospheric surface. This asteroid, made of iron and measuring 200 meters in diameter, had hurtled into our atmosphere at a velocity of 20 to 25 kilometers per second. With an entry angle of 11 degrees, it exploded just 10 kilometers above the Earth's surface, causing the catastrophic Tunguska event. Miraculously, it didn't collide with the Earth but continued on its path, exiting the atmosphere and venturing back into the vastness of space. This riveting discovery was documented and submitted to the Royal Astronomical Society, undergoing an 8-month review before being published on February 4, 2020. The research highlights the hair-raising closeness of the asteroid's pass, just 10 kilometers away from the Earth, a mere speck when compared to Earth's diameter of 6,300 kilometers. To visualize, if the asteroid were a bullet and Earth the brain, this bullet would have whizzed by at just 0.4 millimeters away. It underscores the stark realization that just like the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, Earth's history could have been dramatically altered by a mere 10 kilometers. In the quest to unravel the mysteries of the Tunguska explosion, a significant milestone has been the accumulation of scientific inquiries over the past 112 years. It is astonishing to note that more than 1,000 scholarly articles have attempted to shed light on this enigmatic event. Among these, fewer than 100 have undergone the rigorous review process by the Royal Astronomical Society, with the intriguing skipping stone theory being just the sixth to be officially published. This theory, as fantastical as it sounds, represents the diligent pursuit of scientific rigor and the relentless quest for understanding. Could it be that the 20th century's greatest mystery has been deciphered in the 21st? The phenomenon of the Tunguska explosion, whether caused by an ice meteorite's detonation or an iron meteorite's atmospheric bounce, raises the question of its similarity to nuclear radiation effects. Despite the minuscule levels of radioactivity detected in the Tunguska region, the purported nuclear radiation effects might lean more towards urban legend than objective reality. Yet, an undeniable fact remains: the accelerated growth of trees in Tunguska, documented through the annual rings of millions of trees, stands as a tangible testament to the event's impact. Whether this growth spurt is attributed to nuclear radiation or another mysterious energy source remains an enigma, as scientists continue to search for a plausible explanation.